Hello and welcome to the Triforce podcast, episode 99 point something.
9.
Is it 99.9?
It can't be.
No way.
It might actually, yeah.
Oh my god.
It might be 99.9. Holy crap. That's almost been timed perfectly, because how far away are we from the big live 100 episode?
Couple of weeks.
2 weeks?
Couple of weeks, yeah.
2 weeks.
About 2 weeks away?
Yep.
Oh,
and I'm away next week. I'm off on holiday.
So there's not going to be one next week either. Well, the week after, I should say.
I guess. I mean, unless we record one tomorrow.
We'll just stay late. We can stay late, guys. You know.
Just stay late. Just put in.
We gotta, work around the clock.
Put in some overtime.
Gotta work hard.
At the coalface of podcasting.
When the horn blows and all of the other Fred Flintstone people leave right on time, there we are, working the extra hours, putting in work, putting in that extra effort to make another
job.
Podcast.
I've been watching the US Office. I guess
it's great.
I never watched it all the way through when I watched it before, and it's on Amazon Prime, and I've just had it playing in the background while I've been playing Path of Exile and some other games. And man, it's like, I don't know, like it's just a great show. Sometimes it obviously some of it's incredibly awkward, right? But it doesn't necessarily fall into the trap of being just a bit of a downer sometimes. Like sometimes some shows kind of deliberately, you see things get worse and worse and worse, and then they just like, how much worse can we make this? Whereas I feel like The Office like holds back, before things get too bad,
Yeah. I think the difference between the UK, because I've watched all of it, like the whole thing up until Michael leaves. I don't really care for the show after Michael Scott leaves, because I think he was the linchpin for the show.
Yeah.
I think that the reason it works for me as less uncomfortable than the UK Office, which was so cringy I actually couldn't watch it a lot of the time, is that the main character in the UK Office is Ricky Gervais's character, whereas the main characters in the US Office are Pam and Jim, really are the protagonists. And yes, Michael is a main character, but the point is that you have their reaction to fall back on, and they're the audience, sort of horrified at what's happening and making fun of it and pranking Dwight and making sarcastic comments to Michael. So it feels less uncomfortable because Michael is like this force of nature that runs around the office and does all this goofy shit. But you also kind of feel sympathetic towards him because he's kind of pathetic. He just wants people to like him, and he wants people to be happy at work and all the rest of it. And sometimes he does the right thing. Whereas I felt like the Ricky Gervais character on the UK Office was just detestable, horrible man who never does the right thing.
It was a very different show, completely different, and in good ways though, right? Like I read a big thing about how they changed because the first couple of seasons of The Office US are quite not similar, but like not as different from the UK one, and then they quite quickly...
especially the first series. I feel the first series is a lot more like the UK one. It feels a bit more downbeat. I almost feel like the ensemble cast, which is a very American sitcom way of doing it. The whole cast become characters, and you get jokes at the expense of the characters. You know the characters so well that just seeing them in those situations is funny. I felt like the UK one, it was basically, there were like 5 characters, really. Like, I didn't feel they fleshed out the whole office anywhere near as much.
There was a time when the UK office was like, it was the good one, and the US office was the bad one. And then I think very quickly that switched over.
Really?
Yeah.
I've only ever watched the UK one. One thing that I always liked about the UK one was how shit everything was. The office was just so depressingly shit. The people were so fucking... They just seemed kind of depressed and like not depressed. I don't know. It's like it felt like a little bit more realistic. Like I think a lot of people could identify with the characters in that show more easily. There was no gloss over it, right? I've never seen the US one, so I don't know if that's the case. But
it's similar. Everyone has as an idea, like everyone went to school and everyone has probably worked in some sort of office at some point and kind of knows, or at least knows people who are like those people in the office. I mean, the people in the office are obviously very exaggerated versions, but you kind of see these people just out and about in real life. You see like a Happy Stanley, like, laughing in a queue, or you see like a kind of, angry, like Meredith type woman, like, shouting with her boobs out in a fucking parade or whatever, in the middle of the street. You can see like snippets of people and things that you recognize. And also the drama is so not mundane, but kind of trivial stuff. Like it's a small office disagreement which spins out of control and ends up taking up way more time than it's worth. And you know this, like everyone knows this from real life. And when they look back on these moments where they had an argument with someone about something that was just trivial garbage, they think,
it's work. It's because you have to go and sit next to those people. Like you're stuck in an office with people. Like imagine if you were stuck next to Creed, right? Who's like a real weirdo in the office. You're gonna have to work with him day in, day out. Like Ryan, the temp, he's sort of like been dropped into this, and I think he's also another one of the eyes of the audience, and that he cannot believe that this is a place where supposedly people do business, and it's like the best performing branch, which is also like a running joke. That Scranton is like one of the few branches that actually makes money, even though Michael Scott is like a terrible manager from a business perspective. I just think it's got all kinds of little sort of good touches that make it work. You could tell they really loved the show and the characters. I think it absolutely comes across.
How many seasons are there in the US one? Isn't there
lot.
like 12 or something? Like
I don't think it's that many. It might be 10. I don't think it's 12. Let's have a look. I'll Google it.
This is the kind of trivial thing I'm talking about, guys. It's not worth worrying about.
9 seasons.
Nine seasons. 9. That's a lot, though. The UK one had 2 short seasons, like 2 seasons with like 6 episodes each or whatever.
And also the US one, I mean, it has like 20 episodes per season sometimes.
But they must have moved away from the original format fairly quickly, right? Or have they just extended it?
Mundane office stuff, like people, like them arguing about cakes and birthdays. And
does the US one have like a guy like what's his face, like the typical office Jobsworth who like.
Yes, Dwight Schrute, who's a great character.
Right, okay.
Like he's Michael's number one guy. He's like his assistant regional manager, assistant to the regional manager. Like he has to keep being reminded he's not the assistant manager. He's just like Michael's toady.
Right.
And does whatever he says. But he also tries to betray him because he really wants his job. He's really good character.
It works great in an American setting, right? Because everyone knows a kind of... I know people, Americans who are a little bit like... Dwight Schrute, i.e. they kind of, I don't know, they're not preppers necessarily, but do you know what I mean? They're a little bit off the grid, they're a little bit independent, like the American dream.
Eccentric, yeah.
Like they kind of have these weird views that are...
He's
that
a bit of a,
he's
like a neckbeard crossed with a prepper, kind of, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, Dwight is obviously an amazing character, yeah. And I really like the actor actually as well, Rainn Wilson. Who he did like I think it was quite a short-lived detective show.
Yeah, I feel like he's one of those guys. Everybody loves him, but he had a bit part in Juno where he worked behind a store counter. You see him pop up in a few things, but the problem is he's a very weird-looking guy, so you recognize him straight away.
That's the thing, yeah.
That's Rainn Wilson, and he can't say things without you thinking of Dwight. Because it's such a big character.
Yeah.
And he did it so well that he's almost typecast as the character that he created, which is a shame. But you got 9 seasons on one of the most popular sitcoms ever made.
A lot of people have trouble with that. Like, remember, like Joey from Friends, same problem, just like completely typecast. Kramer never went on to do anything because nobody
he did
could
go on
see
to
him.
do something.
Well, he went on to do something a bit controversial, but no, you know what I mean? Like, he's never been in another show or anything.
Do you know he had a spin-off show?
I think...
Did you know this?
Yeah.
He was a detective. He was like a bungling slapstick private eye.
What?
They
Kramer
made one
was?
series of it. Yes, Kramer. Michael Richards had a spin-off show.
But exactly like Rainn Wilson had his detective show.
Right. I think it was called The Michael Richards Show. But he plays like this trench-coated, bungling goof. It's like private eye. It's really weird. He's basically the exact same character as Kramer.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Like, you can find it on YouTube. I do feel like spin-off shows used to be a really big thing. You don't see them as much now.
I don't know. Were they, though? Like, I'm trying to think of a spin-off show that actually worked. That because I know
Laverne and Shirley was very popular. That was a spin-off from Happy Days.
Because Joey...
They were 2 characters that turned up. Joey had his own show.
He had his own show, but I don't think it
I watched
went anywhere.
It was garbage. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
trash.
it was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful.
It didn't.
Yeah,
work,
because he's
really.
not a character that has any real substance to him, right? In Friends, he was like he was a sixth of the show or whatever, right? And they would just use him when they needed to for like light relief or
He was kind of like a funny guy that they laughed at mostly originally. I mean, I think I ended up laughing with him, but a lot of the time he was like just, "Oh, I'm eating pizza. Would you guys? I ate it all. Sorry, guys."
Yeah, and he had like that sort of like bro dynamic with Chandler, right? Where they had like their own lazy boy chairs and shit like that. You know,
I mean, but Better Call Saul is a spin-off of Breaking Bad.
So that's fantastic. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best example of a spin-off I can think of.
There have been loads.
Frasier is the best spin-off.
Frasier, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah,
there was a show called
Frasier,
The Tortellis, which was a spin-off of Cheers.
The Tortellis.
So Frasier was a spin-off of Cheers, and there was a show called The Tortellis.
Who are the Tortellis?
They were Carla's loutish ex-husband.
No fucking way.
Carla, it was a one-series show.
Yeah, I bet it was.
13 episodes, and it had Dan Hedaya in it. You know Dan Hedaya? He's like you'll recognize him if you see him straight away.
Right.
So the idea was, it's an American sitcom, the first spin-off of Cheers, starring Dan Hedaya and Gene Kassem, and it was Nick and Loretta Tortelli, who were like, for whatever reason, there was a spin-off show. I honestly think it used to happen a lot more. Chicago Fire had 3 spin-off shows, which are still going.
What the fuck is Chicago Fire?
I've never even heard
You don't
of
remember
that.
Chicago Fire?
No.
Oh, man.
What is it?
You know, it's just a show about a fire department in Chicago. So then they were like, shit, this is popular. Let's make a police one.
What did they make, like 3 other fire department spin-offs?
Yo,
Angelo, where you moving to? Yeah, I gotta move to Minnesota. Minnesota Fire.
Right. Do you think that Columbo had a spin-off show?
Probably, yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
Called Mrs. Columbo. They made one series of Mrs.
You're
Columbo.
fucking joking me.
I'm not joking.
On.
I'm not
Mrs.
joking.
Columbo?
I love how
Mrs.
these all
Columbo.
last for one series.
One season.
Let's just try it out, see how it goes. Let's axe this quickly. Fuck me.
So the Cosby Show, one of the biggest shows of the 80s.
That had what's it called?
Can you remember?
Fuck, I'm trying to think of the name. It had Denise in it, right?
A Different World.
A Different World. That's the
World.
one. Yeah, that was the spin-off.
I really liked that.
What was
both of those shows were big in the 80s.
Well, they had Cosby. There was like a reinvented Cosby show that wasn't part of the original Cosby timeline that came back when he was like much older. Yeah, it was like just another Cosby show, and it was similar in format but completely different. Like it was bizarre. It was just so fucking weird.
Huh.
And I think Theo was in it as well. Possibly, but I don't remember it like I'm not sure.
That reminds me of Cleveland. Do you remember that? Like the Family Guy spin-off for Cleveland.
Oh yeah, Cleveland from Family Guy.
Believe it or not, the series Joey ran for 2 seasons. They made 46 episodes of Joey.
Oh,
46 episodes.
So
can you believe it?
Coming back to some of the Seinfeld cast, it was like a very sort of George, Elaine, and Kramer all suffered massively, like not being able to land any roles or
I think
or do
Jason
anything.
Alexander and Michael Richards definitely, but Julia Louis-Dreyfus did Veep, which was very well
She did,
received.
but that was only very recently though. Like I mean, not very recently, but like it took her a long time. I mean, Seinfeld ended in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Veep is like a couple of years old, I think. And like it took a while for her to like actually break out into anything. And I think
it's
the whole
tough,
time she was trying as well, which is crazy.
that is true. But I also think that women in Hollywood, especially, I read about this. There are 2 phases to a woman's career in Hollywood. There's you're young and hot enough that people are going to fancy you at the executive level. Yeah, she's hot. Put her on a TV show. And then you get to middle age, and unless you're like a stunning actress who's like gonna carry on, there's like a dead zone, and then you can come back and play matriarchs.
You quickly have to do mum roles, right?
Yeah,
I've seen that a lot.
So it's like, if you think about men, Bruce Willis has been an action hero, and the dude's in his fucking 60s, right? Like the dude has never stopped playing action heroes.
All of them are still
and
going.
Arnie the same, and all these guys. But women in Hollywood are meant to be good looking, and then you can fuck off for a bit, and then you can come back if you're a good actress, and you can be like Meryl Streep.
Right.
Yeah, like there's plenty of male roles all the way up. Like Keanu's never really, if anything, got more roles.
He's more action roles. John Wick. And then he's like, the dude's in his 50s, right? And it's like, yeah, John Wick.
55, something maybe,
Right.
yeah. And shit, you see it all the fucking time with other people too.
So I think
really
whenever you see someone like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who's a really good comic actress, I think she's brilliant.
Yeah, she's funny. Yeah,
she almost needed to come back when she could play a slightly older role, because that's the way
Veep,
Hollywood casts women.
Because
have I watched it?
Yeah.
I watched a bit of it. Is it written by Armando Iannucci, who did The Thick of It?
Yes.
So I'm a huge fan of his. I watched everything that he's done, but for some reason I haven't watched that, and I should.
It's been on for like 7 years. So
yeah, I know. Well, it's good. Well, Sips has never watched The US Office. We both.
But sometimes you think like, whatever happened to this actor or actress, and then you realize, oh shit, they actually did this fucking show for ever, and they just got trapped in that show.
Yeah.
Like I imagine like when Patrick Stewart was doing Star Trek: The Next Generation for like 10 or 15 years, he was just, because doing a TV show with that many episodes, it must just be. Just suck up all of your time.
Look at Charlie Fairhead in Casualty. The dude in Casualty.
Charlie's
been in it forever.
He tried to leave a couple of times, and he keeps coming back.
Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
That's it. They keep pulling him back in.
He's been in for 30 years.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, that's
people have come and gone, and I mean, he's one of them, but he always comes back.
I mean, I remember as a kid. As like a 6 or 7 year old kid, my mum was a biochemist, so for some reason she liked watching Casualty. That was the only soap we really watched.
Right.
And so I always used to watch Casualty, and I remember fucking Charlie being in there as the character. I think it's not like a really very adult show. There's usually a little bit of someone being sick occasionally or something like that. It's crap. Casualty's crap.
It's terrible.
Man, I sometimes I think about your childhood, Lewis, and like I feel so depressed. Like I think maybe I have it wrong or something. Like I just imagine
it was great.
I always imagine you being like really
watching TV, watching crappy 80s
yeah,
TV.
But I always imagine you doing it in like a sterilized room, like in a bubble or something, with like a turtleneck on, and like your mom just like only lets you watch like Casualty, and maybe
I think maybe she was like rubbing like eczema cream into my scalp or something.
I just always
I wasn't a very
imagine,
healthy child.
Did you carry like a briefcase to school or anything, or?
Oh yeah, I did. I had a brown briefcase.
Were you a briefcase boy?
Do you have like did you wear a bow tie to school and like a propeller cap and stuff too? Or?
Yeah, and the braces, the trouser braces, whatever they're called.
Oh yeah,
suspenders.
Suspenders, yeah.
So get this.
You ever have those sock suspenders, like the ones that like corporate men wear, like
hell yeah.
Those are awesome.
Oh man. So how many spin-off shows do you think Happy Days had?
Not many. Fuck. I can't imagine. The Fonz probably had his own show. I would have thought
7.
Jesus fucking Christ.
7. This is how
7?
TV used to be. I mean, Laverne and Shirley, which was actually quite popular. They were 2 bit part characters. I think they were like the Fonz's girlfriends in one episode.
So Happy Days, all I remember about Happy Days was that it was before my time. It was an American sitcom about people in school.
No, it was set in the 50s.
It was in that Weezer video that one time too, remember?
Yeah. It was made in the 70s. Happy Days was the Fonz and the Cunninghams. And the Fonz lived in like an apartment upstairs from the Cunninghams. And he was like cool. He was like, hey, he was like the coolest guy. And they were all preppy, nerdy kids who needed his help to land girls. It was set in the 50s, but it was made in the 70s and 80s.
70s show set in the 50s, okay.
Yes.
We're going back in time.
Laverne and Shirley was a spin-off of that, which is actually quite popular, around for 8 seasons. And I used to watch it when I was a kid. It was about 2 women that worked in a beer bottling factory in Milwaukee. The theme tune was really iconic, and they work on the line, and the bottles are coming down, and they stick their gloves on the bottles. All the older Americans out there will know what I'm talking about. Blansky's Beauties was another spin-off from that show.
What?
Which was Nancy Walker played Howard Cunningham's visiting cousin Nancy Blansky. So Blansky's Beauties was a spin-off. Mork and Mindy was a spin-off of Happy Days. If you remember Mork and Mindy, that was Robin Williams was a character on there as like a crazy guy, and then he got his own show. And this was like, Robin Williams was nobody in those days, and then obviously that launched his whole career. Then there was the Mork and Mindy animated series, which is technically a spin-off of Mork and Mindy, but there was Out of the Blue, which I'd never heard of, Jimmy Brogan as Random, an angel in training who's assigned to live with and guard a suburban Chicago family, which sounds bonkers. The Fonz and the Happy Days Gang, which was an animated show, and Joni Loves Chachi, which was a short-lived show with...
Joni Loves Chachi? The fuck is that even named?
I know. They were 2 characters on the Happy Days, Joni and Chachi, And Chachi was like the Fonz's cousin or his nephew or something.
Was that like a one-way relationship? What did Chachi not love?
I don't know. I don't know if Chachi also loved Joni. It's a big question.
I would hope so.
Man,
but that's the way TV used to be. If a character was a hit, they'd pump a show out, spin off. You know what I mean? That's the way they did
Dave
it.
Chappelle do something? Wasn't he like? I'm sure I read that he was in like an episode of Home Improvement or something, and he fucking had his own spin-off show for like a season, but it was just total garbage. Did I dream?
Was it Home Improvement?
I can't remember. He was in something weird.
Dave Chappelle had a sitcom, very short-lived sitcom, which was awful.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle. It was called Buddies.
Sorry, right. Sips had just woken up when we said Dave Chappelle.
You're right.
Buddies.
But Buddies was a spin-off from Home Improvements.
Buddies?
It was cool. Yeah, it was called Buddies.
What the fuck?
Let's have a look. It only made 14 episodes. He was the lead role. Comedians Dave Chappelle and Jim Breuer attracted the attention of TV network executives with their guest appearances in one episode of Home Improvement. The storyline had Chappelle and Breuer play friends who appeared together on Tool Time to ask Tim Taylor advice on their girlfriends. And that one outing was so popular, they gave them their own show. But it was awful. And I watched an interview with Dave Chappelle where he said it was just terrible. And he wasn't able to do any of the writing on it or anything like that. So he was really pissed off.
Oh
and then
my God.
Was on...
They recorded 13 episodes, but only 5 went out.
Yeah, it was so bad.
It was unaired.
Man,
Holy shit.
man.
Yeah. So he thought it was all over. Like, he was still doing stand-up. I've watched a lot of... I love Dave Chappelle. He's one of my favorite comedians, and I watched a lot of interviews with him, and he was saying, like, he was trying, and he was, he didn't understand how TV worked, and he eventually, the Dave Chappelle show came out, and it was huge. Like, it was absolutely huge. And the weird thing for me is that Dave Chappelle had been seeking fame and trying to go out there and make it for such a long time, and then the Chappelle show was like colossal, enormous hit, and he made so much money from it that it freaked him out, and he just couldn't handle the pressure, and he had to run off. But he's an amazing comedian. But yeah, it is weird.
He is very
funny. Chappelle show is. I mean, he's such a good comic.
I can imagine how that buddies thing worked. Because we had a very similar situation where we were going to look at making our own animation show thing, and it was very quickly sort of taken out of our hands by other people. And they were like, well, don't worry, we got this guy who's written loads of stuff before. He did the Sonic the Hedgehog animation. Did you see that? And we're like, what? And he did like an episode of The Simpsons in 1992. It's like, oh my God, really? And it was, that's quite an accolade. Yeah, it was like a low IMDb rating, but yeah. And then he did like, do you know what I mean? Like what are we working with here? A guy who wrote his filmography is a Sonic the Hedgehog animation. This isn't really the right. Could you imagine, Dave Chappelle doing a Chappelle show, and the production company are like, yeah, we got a great script. Got a great script from this guy. He's got a huge filmography, famous stuff. He did The Nutty Professor.
And he wrote 2 episodes of Joni Loves Chachi.
Yeah, exactly, P-Flex. Like that kind of...
I think a lot of it is that the people that work in films and TV are very protective of their arena. And they think that they know exactly what works. So if you're coming in with a good idea, or you're really funny like Dave Chappelle and you want to do a show, they're like, yeah, we'll take it from here. We have a way of doing these things. And they have their own writers and their own producers, and they really just want you to be the talent that walks around and says things, and maybe people will watch it because you're in it. They don't actually want you to have a show of your own. A lot of comedians, I think, like Seinfeld, when he got his show, I don't know how much, I'd love to know more about it, but I don't know, those early episodes, was it just him and Larry David, and it was like they just gave them complete control? Because I feel like the show really found its feet after season 2.
I think a lot of what was in the show was sort of in the actual show when George and Jerry pitched NBC the show about nothing and everything. Yeah. I think a lot of that stuff was more or less their story, because there was a lot of Larry David's comedy is infused with his real life experiences. Like Kramer was based on a real person that used to live close to
former
him.
Neighbor of his.
It's definitely coming back round to the whole Office sort of scenario, really, of just these kind of everyday life experiences that everyone is familiar with in some way, or at least relatable. It's that It's that real life, like tangible, reachable comedy that you see exaggerated, you know?
Man.
A little bit like, you know, things we talk about that happen, you know, like simple stuff that
like
you just...
my bath plug.
Yeah, like, you know, it's very much like daily
You
life.
guys want to hear about that again, or were you?
Shall we run over that one, in case people didn't know?
Just in case anybody forgot about it, or...
But man, I know. So I've been watching all The Office, having a good time.
I never watched the American Office. I kind of just brushed it off or shrugged it off and didn't bother watching it.
You should watch it. It's genuinely brilliant.
But the reason
show.
I didn't watch it was because it's Steve Carell's in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was just going to be him being him, which was like funny years ago. Like I found him really funny, like, you know, when he was on the Daily Show and whatever.
Right.
But, you know, like when he started getting big in Hollywood and being in movies and stuff, you know, it just makes like all those sounds and stuff. And it's like, again, it's pretty funny, but I thought that The Office was just going to be that. You know, it's like, oh, here comes our wacky boss. Like making these stupid high-pitched sounds and stuff.
You
and
sure you've got the right guy?
I don't want to watch that at all.
It's not Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
No, but he's kind of like, at times he is a bit like that, isn't he? Like
I do feel like maybe, like, I don't know whether people are watching my brain or whatever, but I was fed like there's like Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, obviously. That's got bloody Jim from The Office in it.
Yeah.
And I've also, because I saw him in The Quiet Place as well. I watched
Yeah,
that.
I thought that was good.
Yeah, it was good. I like
you know,
that.
he's married to Emily Blunt. Holy shit.
I mean, he's done well for
fine.
himself, definitely.
She's fine as who's the Emily Blunt. Hang on a second. Let me take a look here.
Sips needs to update his
yes.
She's English. She's English.
Yes.
sexy girl
she's
index.
fantastic.
Man, you know who
Emily
else
Blunt.
is English? That girl that's selling the bathwater on the internet.
Yes, I was amazed. I was so let down.
Yeah,
How could you?
So fucking shit. When I was away this weekend, I was at CoxCon this weekend, which is not a porn convention. It's for Jesse.
Was she there?
No, she wasn't there. But people mentioned like the whole bathwater thing or whatever, and it's one of those things that people sort of mention. It's like, oh, I can't believe that sort of thing. So whatever. But apparently, she's got like on her Patreon, she does. We should do this. I think her top tier one is I'll do anything, basically.
Oh no!
And so somebody did the top one and said, eat like a raw egg, shell and all. And so there's a video of her on the internet fucking eating an egg, and there's just like fucking yolk and shit dripping down, and she has to eat the shell, and you just hear like crunching on the shell and stuff. And oh my god, it's like, oh, it's pretty hard to watch. I watched it for like 2 seconds.
You watched it for 2 hours, and then that was it.
Yeah, fucking.
I talked about this a little bit before with Duncan, but basically, I think it's like super good marketing. You know, she's not selling the bathwater; she's selling other stuff. She's selling the Patreons. She's selling herself. Like she's selling like, you know, her brand.
Everybody's heard of her now. It's real clever.
Yeah.
It's super.
I just worry.
Super
if I was her dad, I'd be devastated that my daughter was on the internet selling her own bathwater. I'd be like, "What are you doing, honey? There's all these crazy people."
Have you ever been to her Twitter page?
No, I didn't.
Oh, go check it out right now, Flax. Go to
what's her name? Is like
Belle
Princess
Delphine
Anime
on Twitter. Yeah, check it out right now.
God, just
Delphine.
Yeah,
it is just a masterclass in how to make like a modern like nerd icon. Do you know what I mean? For people on the internet who love anime.
A masterclass.
It is a masterclass. It's a masterclass.
Right,
honestly.
okay.
She's like following all the memes and trends and stuff, like all of the ahegao and all that stuff. Have you seen this? It's like, if you haven't, then just Google it up. You'll find
I'm
it.
worried. I mean, geez, I don't know what the future is here. She's incredibly anime.
Yeah.
She's basically a real life anime. But I mean, she's got like really good camera stuff like this. I think she has a photographer.
This is way too lewd.
Like some guy. What?
What are you? I can't follow this.
What do you mean?
She's just, geez, she's just flashing all sorts of private parts and things.
Your search engine is now fucked.
I'll tell you something, right? This is I really embarrassed myself last week. I was going to Leicester to play Magic the Gathering. Okay, I went up there to play Magic the Gathering. We came last, but we had a lot of fun.
Right.
From Belle Delphine to Magic the Gathering. This is the Triforce podcast.
I mean,
I wanted to change the subject.
The subject had to change at some point, Lewis. Christ.
That was a hard swerve, though.
It was.
I've got whiplash.
It was. I was heading up there on the train, and I was waiting at Strawberry Hill Station to get the train up to King's Cross. And I'm waiting there at the platform, and the thing says, "Do not board the next train. It's not for public use." And I thought, "Oh, this will be interesting." A train pulls in, stops at the station, and I'm listening to my music and I'm looking at my phone. And then I hear a list of stations being read off on the PA, and I'm thinking, well, that sounds like my stations, but the train isn't here yet because there's this one. And then I see the doors open, and the guard is like making sure that everybody's got on, and he's closing the doors. And I suddenly realized that was the train, my train for public use. I don't know what the fuck the message was about. So I start running down the platform to get on the train, and the guard waves me off. He's like, "Too late!" And if I miss this train, I'm going to miss my train. And I'm like, "Oh no." And then he sees I'm sort of all dejected. I give this dejected slump. And he sort of stops a second, then he blows his whistle one more time, and he waves to me like, "Get on the train." So I'm running, and as I'm just getting on the train, I stop, and I blow him this big theatrical kiss, like, mwah!
Nice.
And I thought, why did I blow a kiss to the guard? And he kind of looked at me a bit like, huh? And I got on the train and sat down and hoped that he didn't walk through the carriage and say, "Did you just blow a kiss to me?" Because I was really humiliated. But I got there on time. That's it.
Nice.
I'm still.
Sorry, I'm processing
We're just browsing.
That's all right. It was for the viewers or the listeners. It's not for you.
Nice.
I need to close this browser window.
But it reminded me of, there's an episode of Seinfeld where George has to jump over a puddle, and he jumps over it in a rather theatrical way.
Yes.
And gets chased down the street by the kids. It just made me think of that. That was my jumping over a puddle moment.
That was your jumping over a puddle moment.
This Belle Delphine is winking in every single picture she's ever posted online.
I've had to close the browser window. I can't keep it up
yeah,
there. It's
Lewis
too distracting.
just couldn't fucking stand for one moment longer the masterclass. It was just too much for him.
I don't think there's any actual nudes. I think she's never released a nude or a nipple.
No, I don't think
or
there's a nude. I don't think there's any nudes.
I think it's all very much like titillation. It's all very clever.
I didn't
think it's
I
clever.
didn't know much about her until obviously the whole sort of bathwater meme thing started going. I can't remember why I happened across her on Twitter, and I was surprised, to say the least, by what I saw.
And delighted.
No. I want to say for the record, I wasn't particularly delighted. It's just there's a million ways to skin a cat, isn't there?
All right, we're off the hook. She was born in South Africa.
Right. Okay. She was. Okay.
What do you mean?
Thank God. I mean, I didn't want one of my people, the proud British people, degrading themselves, eating eggs for money and selling bathwater.
The egg eating thing is a tough watch. Honestly, I've been on the internet for a long time. I've seen a lot of shit. I feel like I've done the equivalent of 7 or 8 tours of duty, like if we were talking like war terms or whatever. And that egg eating thing was a tough one. I couldn't really watch much of it at all. I felt so awkward, and it was just so weird. I don't know.
Get her in the Yogscast, Lewis. We could use some more egg eaters.
We can't.
We need people.
I'm sure Hatfields have eaten worse. Holy shit. Egg eaters. I don't know. Is it one of the cases where as soon as she opens her mouth and actually says something, she's completely obnoxious, or does it shatter?
I don't know. I've never even heard her speak.
She's
before.
got I saw a video with her talking.
Is she the full package?
She's got quite a sweet Surrey accent or something.
Oh, really?
She's just a regular sounding girl.
Okay,
right.
Girl next
she's
door.
She's not like some shrieking.
She's got it all sewn up.
I'm gonna eat your egg, governor.
She's gonna be huge. Mark my words.
Well, I think she already is though.
She's got 4.5 million followers on Instagram.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's.
I mean, she's already absolutely massive, but I think I think it's only going to get bigger. I think
that's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, holy crap.
What could we do on our Patreon that isn't degrading and that we would happily do?
How can we catapult ourselves up to the dizzying heights of 4.5 million followers on Instagram? Do we even have an Instagram?
Well, you need to first of all sign up to Instagram.
I have an Instagram.
I'm on Instagram. Real Pyrian Flax is on Instagram. I got messages from Triforce fans all the time saying, hey, here's a picture of me at work and stuff. And I'm like, cool.
All right, I don't get anything like that on Instagram. My Instagram account, I started it up because I have a problem where I live with seagulls shitting on my laundry that's drying on the line. And so I kind of use my Instagram account as a photo evidence journal. of this stuff. So actually, my Instagram account is just pictures of my dad's shorts with shit on them as they're hanging on the line. That's it.
Well, okay, I think this is
and a couple of smears up the wall as well.
My Instagram rule is I do not smile in any of my Instagram pictures.
Wow.
So if you look at any of them, they're all me looking surly.
Right.
Like every single one.
I like this. I like how we all have a theme for our Instagram accounts. What's your theme, Lewis?
Well, I think you have to. And also, I think that there's a thing people do is when they see like a popular person, you've seen this, doing like a pose, like Belle Delphine in her bath, right? Pouring water on herself. You need to take that same picture from the same angle in your bath, okay? Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like you need to try and to see what she's doing and just copy it. You know, she's like leaning over with her sexy underwear. You're like picking up a child's toy, like holding onto your back. Oh, right. You got to take the equivalent picture. You know, she's like sexily eating like a hot dog. You're like, you know, burning one on the barbecue. I don't know. It needs to be like, it needs to sexily. It needs
I don't think I can
equivalent.
compete, honestly. I think I got to find a different way, Lewis. I don't think I can match. You know what I mean?
You haven't got the vigor of
I don't think I do.
Star.
I don't think I got the looks. I don't think I got the personality. I don't think I have the chutzpah.
Chutzpah.
I don't think I have the.
I don't think I can pronounce chutzpah.
I don't think I have the. I don't think I have all those things that make somebody popular on Instagram. You know what I mean?
Do you know what it is? You have some fucking self-respect.
No, it's Instagram's a young person's game, big time, right? Like.
Yeah, but the ones that are big have no self-respect.
Your
They'll
fucking
do anything.
Instagram, P-Flax, looks like my dad's Facebook. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
It's
that's the vibe, man. Look, you can try to go young, or you can just accept who you are.
You're trying to bring the respect back to Instagram.
It's like you understand like why you've had to take a selfie, but it's basically it looks like those old people posts where you've been confronted with a thing which says we now need to take a picture of you to get to this next stage, and so you just literally press the button, not really realizing that it's taking a picture of you. And then that's what you've uploaded.
Yep,
I love it,
man.
Also, two of the 6 pictures are the top 6 pictures of you holding a gigantic stein of beer.
Yeah, that's when I'm very happy.
I think you should make it a beer, like a beer.
One of them is that the big Ein Gross that I got in Germany, which was great. And one of them is a double cider that you could get in Birmingham. It's a double pint. It's 2 pints in one. I've never been happier in my life.
I think you should just make it a passion project, right? Like every post should be you drinking a beer or you drinking something, or like because there's always this. It's always been a thing, and some of them are terrible. But like it's a guy like on YouTube who smokes a different cigarette every day or checks out a lift every day. There's always those weird shitty channels which
I don't need a gimmick.
Exist.
Man, I can't even remember.
I don't want a gimmick.
I can't remember what my Instagram is, but I want you guys to take a look at it now. Let me just have a quick look and see.
The real sips.
What?
I'll look for sips.
No, it's like hi, I am sips or something like that. I think.
Hi, it's sips.
Hi, it's me sips or something.
You've got 3 pictures on there. One of bird poo on trousers. A second.
Yes.
3 of they're all bird poo.
Yes, that's mine.
One on the wall.
Right. Yeah.
Hi, it's sips.
Trousers and one on another pair of trousers.
3. There's just bird shit on
I
things.
see what I mean. And now it's summer again. There's
7,000 followers.
Wow.
On your
it's not bad.
3 bird shit covered pictures.
Your last Insta post was like a year ago.
I know. Well, I told you I set up the account very specifically for one thing. And then I kind of like lost interest. It didn't get 1 million overnight, and I was just like, it's not worth my time.
I'm gonna follow you guys. I'm looking it up.
You don't follow me on Insta?
Well, I took over the Yogscast one, and obviously wasn't following you by default.
Are you Lewis.Brindley? Is that you?
No, I'm Yogscast.
Oh, this person says, listen to this. Hi, Lewis Brindley is my life.
Wow.
That's what she says.
Your whole.
Yeah, okay.
It's just old pictures of you, like really old pictures of you.
Wow. Like
Yikes.
how old are we talking? Like the Vegas Minecon pictures and stuff?
I'm talking slightly chubby-faced Lewis with glasses on.
Those are the ones. Nice.
A dream boy.
The dream boy pictures, yeah. Fresh face, young, chubby, water retaining ass, motherfucker. Oh man.
Water retaining motherfucker.
You water retaining ass, John Travolta necked fucking chipmunk cheeked motherfucker. Yeah, so sorry, Lewis, Instagram. What kind of things do you post on Instagram?
I just post like pictures of stuff, mostly just plugs of like when I'm streaming and stuff, and occasionally pictures of things I've done and where I am,
right,
and people. I tried to make an effort to post something every day.
Right.
But
I can't even find your.
I found it really hard. Like, I really wanted to be able to use social media. It's something I've never been able to do.
I find social media. I don't know about you guys, but I find it utterly soul destroying and depressing. I get like no joy out of being on social media. Like,
no, neither me.
It's such a fucking cesspool, isn't it? Like, holy crap.
All right, I want you guys to look for Lewis Brindley, all one word. Look at this guy's Instagram account. Sorry about the bloomin' soaring going on, and my neighbor's having a loft conversion.
Oh, man.
Lewis Brindley. His name is Lewis Brindley. NBA Houston Rockets, comic books, Batman. All right?
Right.
Okay.
If you look down at picture number 7 and look at that sort of weird cockeyed smile that he's doing, look at how many pictures he makes that's his pose.
Right.
That's his photo pose. That's what I'm trying to combat with my surly dad pose.
You're right. He has a lot of the tilted head. Oh my God, it's all the way down.
Like, if you
everyone
look down,
has that though. Everyone has their camera face.
Slightly lopsided smile. Looks like he just said something that he kind of took as an insult. And he's trying to figure it out if you meant it that way or if it was a compliment. That's the kind of face he's got. That's it.
I think I'm on the wrong thing.
Instagram Lewis Brindley. It's obviously not mine, but
it's not yours. Because look at this dude. He's a hunk.
He is.
He's a hunk of chunk of burning love.
Well, he's welcome to have that Instagram. Do you know what I mean? Like, go.
How good of you.
What? I'm basically, my attitude towards social media is I know I should use it because certain people want to use it and they want to be like notified of stuff that's gone out, and I want to post some stuff somewhere. Like, I do have some pictures and interesting shit that happens occasionally,
right?
But and I want to just throw it out there so it's got a place to go. But I think if it's like sufficiently interesting, go on Instagram and Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Whereas if it's not that interesting, it could just go on Twitter. I don't know. I've never liked it. I really wanted to try and be like, someone who used it properly and smartly. But I tried to train myself to be that egotistical asshole who wants to take a picture of his face every day.
Right.
And I couldn't do it. I could not. Basically, what I'm saying is that my ego is intact.
Man, I don't know. I'm looking through this right now, and it looks like you've done it. Like, there's a lot of pictures of you on here.
There is, but it's not daily. And
Right.
I've had to. Every time I post a picture of myself, I'm uncomfortable.
Right.
I don't know.
You're uncomfortable. You know what kind of comments I get when I post a picture? Look at this old fucker. He looks like an egg. Oh, look, it's Himmler. Like, it's just continual. It doesn't bother me. It's just part of it. You got to have fun with it. If people are going to find pleasure in laughing at your dome or your resemblance to one of the, prime movers in the Third Reich, so be it. As long as it entertains people.
So when you post on Instagram, Lewis, does it post to Twitter as well?
I have a program.
I have it linked. Yeah, I just have it linked where it says, "Do you want to share it to Twitter?" And I do.
Where do you link that?
It's just one of the options. You just link it to other accounts, and when you go to tweet, it just says, "Do you want to tweet this to?" When you post it on Insta, it'll say to you, "Do you want to tweet this as well?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!"
I see.
I'm not. Yeah, I had to. I used there's like a couple of things you can use. I think I used a little. There's loads of little websites that kind of like. There's like one called like If This Then That, which is quite good. Which basically is like an automation thing. I'd like to try and automate more shit in my life, And some people have all done that really well. Like, for example, they'll be like, when I get home, connect my phone to the home Wi-Fi and upload all my pictures to the Dropbox and turn the lights on. And do you know what I mean? When my phone goes within range of when I leave, I turn off all the lights automatically. Do you know what I mean? Like people have automated stuff a lot with these types of program, and they can really be quite cool. But actually, like, fuck it. Like, how much effort is it to actually pull the light switch? Are you really like saving like 5 seconds a day by spending like 2 hours setting up something that doesn't work all the time?
No.
I don't know.
No.
Like, every time I try and rig something up, it always doesn't quite work properly. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I had a light sensor in my old place, and like a motion sensor, and the idea was that when like at 10 o'clock, I would have the lights like dim a little bit, so I'd be like, oh, okay, so I'm getting ready to like go to sleep. So I had like hue bulbs in my old place, and but every time I was like doing something like either reading a book or like painting a model or something, and the lights would dim, and I'd have to go manually turn like the light back on, and then the motion sensor would just turn them back down again, and I'd be like, oh, fuck's sake, and I have to turn the motion sensor around. It was more faff than it was worth, basically.
Oh man.
I tried to automate healthy habits, and it just ended up being more trouble than it was worth. I'm not very good. I'd like to. I think in an ideal world, I'd love to have like these cool automated things helping me out, but actually, it's never all that straightforward, is it?
Honestly, the other thing is you give all this control to big tech.
Big tech,
People talk about big pharma and all this. What about
they're
big
spying
tech?
on you when you're taking pictures of a bird shit on your shorts? They're triangulating. They know where you live, and they know the kind of stuff that you're buying. And fuck,
those shorts that they bought from H&M.
It looks like you
that
got
bird
those
shit
from
looks
Primark.
like it was coming down at a 45-degree trajectory.
Here's one for you about 45-degree trajectories. All right, I was talking to a guy who's a prototype engineer.
Right.
All right. Shout out to Peter. He's a top lad. I met him at the Magic thing. He knows some guys that do prototypes for like the defense industry and stuff like this. And one of the ones they're working on, I think they call it the marked man hypothesis. This is a drone hypothesis, and they put it into like test phases. So you have two drones. It's an assassination drone system.
Whoa.
You have one drone that goes around and looks at people, facial recognition. It can do this in a crowd. It goes around, and if it finds one of the people it's looking for, it gets their attention with this little drone. They sort of, it's like it's got something weird looking on the front that draws your attention. While you're looking at it, hovering several hundred meters up in the air above is the secondary drone, which is just a piece of aluminium in the shape of a spike. And this drone just goes straight into the face of the person.
Whoa.
Wow.
So it's like facial recognition assassination of like high value targets. No collateral damage. But for some reason, it's scarier to me having a big spike crack into your head because a drone recognized you or thought it recognized you than dropping a bomb on someone. Like for me, it's scarier, even though a bomb should be far more terrifying. But there's something very, very deliberate and specific about a machine deciding, oh, it's so-and-so. Quick, launch the aluminium spike. And it goes into your head, and that's that. He also told me another amazing story. This is unbelievable. I'm not even sure if this is true, but I like it anyway.
Well, I mean, the first one sounded like something.
It sounds crazy, right?
A one-off scene in like Blade Runner. Do you know what I mean, or something?
Yes.
So
where
there's
here's
like a big
another
crowd of people, one of them's being hunted, and they're
yeah. So this guy, a friend of his, worked for a big university, and they do a lot of testing on animals at big universities, like drug testing and stuff like that. When they do it, they sometimes have to breed these animals specifically to have like a particular genetic defect or whatever, so that they can test the drug. So when they do this, they tend to breed like 10,000 of these guinea pigs, literal guinea pigs, that all have like, they're all missing their legs, or they've all got no fur, or they've all got one eye. So you can't like sell them on as pets afterwards because they've been genetically modified. They're all identical as well. So you don't want to put them out into the guinea pig gene pool. So at the end of the testing, they have to destroy them all. I'm not saying either way whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying this is one of the things that happens.
Yikes.
So they've got these 12,000 guinea pigs. And sometimes when they do the medical testing, it works, like first time. So they test it. Oh, it worked. And then they have to test it another like 30 or 40 times to make sure, okay, well, that works. Trial over. But you've still got 11,960 guinea pigs that you don't need anymore. You can't give away and you can't use them for another trial, so they have to destroy them. So what they have is this big box with a door on it, and you open
what they
the
got
door.
is they got two drones. Okay, the first drone goes up and
Thing is, it would recognize all the guinea pigs. They're clones of each other. So you put them in the cabinet. You close the drawer, and then it releases this gas that kills them painlessly. They just like they get hypoxia and asphyxiate, but it's like they don't panic. It's like, if you suffer from hypoxia at very high altitudes, you laugh and then you go to sleep and you die. It's terrible, but it's obviously better than just whacking them on the head with something. So this guy's job was to kill the guinea pigs, and he's put them in one at a time like he was told.
Jesus.
And after a while, he turns around and there's this huge pile of guinea pigs still to go, and he's starting to lose his mind all day long. He's just killing guinea pigs one at a time. So he starts putting in a few more each time. By the end of it, he's putting so many in that he has to lean on the door to close it so he can kill these poor guinea pigs. And it changed him forever. Like, he had to stop doing it. Worst job I could possibly think of. Horrible.
Holy shit.
Christ.
I can't believe that. That's a story you heard from a guy from his friend or something. Good
It's
Lord.
a good story, even if it's not true, but it could be true.
Yikes. Just think your job in the office with all those assholes. It's not that bad.
Could be worse.
Pretty fantastic right now, right? Jesus Christ.
You might live with like the Fonz upstairs and think, it's fucking horrible. But no.
Could be worse.
You could be squeezing guinea pigs into a gas chamber all day. Holy shit.
Fuck me.
That is some nightmare fuel right there.
That concludes this week's Triforce.
Wow,
a great podcast.
Thanks for that, Flax.
Oh, you're welcome.
What a good one to end on. Oh.
Fucking hell. Just
gonna go cry in my bathroom with my head in the toilet for the rest of the day now.
Well, make sure you don't use the bath because the plug's kind of tricky.
Yeah, I know. It gets stuck very easily, actually. Fuck.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Goodbye.
See you later. Bye.